Hey guys, Stephanie with AmericanMuscle.com here with the JLT Cold Air Intake for 2015 and up S550 EcoBoost Mustangs. This overview is going to cover a few topics with the JLT, like what you can expect from this intake, some info about the components and the construction, and some info about the install as well. Now the install for this one is a simple one. It's a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the scale, but I'll get more into that a little later on. The JLT Cold Air Intake is going to be a good option for the EcoBoost owners that are looking for an aftermarket cold air intake that is 50 state legal and that's going to function a little bit better than the factory intake in the upper RPMs and once some mods have been completed on the car. The JLT is an open airbox design, but it does keep the direct cold air feed that Ford created, so it is more of a true cold air setup that does receive some air from outside the car. Like I just mentioned, the JLT is CARB certified. It's 50 state Smog legal, so there are no limits here. It doesn't require a tune, but honestly, no aftermarket cold air intake for the EcoBoost requires a tune because these cars are speed density cars. The requirement of a tune with aftermarket intakes comes from the size of the MAF, or the mass airflow. An aftermarket intake can only go so big with the MAF size before a car will need a retune. But since the EcoBoost is a speed density car, they don't have a MAF sensor, so no aftermarket intake for this car is going to require a tune. So this means that you can just bolt up any intake and go. Now even though this is the case with the EcoBoost, I do want to be clear with the fact that you're only going to see gains of a few horsepower without a tune. So you can expect a small bump in horsepower and torque, along with improved throttle response overall. So because this is an open element style airbox, you're going to be getting a little bit more engine and turbo noise than before with the factory sealed airbox. If this is something that you're after, then you'll not be disappointed here. Although if you do prefer to keep things quiet, you may want to stick with a sealed airbox instead. This cold air intake does come with a reusable high flow filter, and it's a 5x8 power stack air filter, and that means when it comes time, you can just clean and re-oil the filter. You don't need to purchase a new filter. And the heat shield is a rotomolded ABS plastic, and you can see how this whole setup is much more attractive than the factory airbox under the hood. It's a nice matte black, and JLT is going to give you everything you need for the install. Your intake tube, a silicone coupler, the power stack air filter, heat shield, clamps, and all of the needed hardware. As far as price, you can expect to pay between $300 and $350, and this is pretty much in line with the majority of aftermarket cold air intakes on the market. There are some that cost less and some that cost more as well. As for the install, it's nothing too difficult, and like I mentioned earlier, the intake will come with all of the items that you need to complete the install. All you really need to complete this install is a few basic hand tools. This is probably one of the easier mods that you can tackle with your new Mustang, and it'll take about a half hour or an hour tops, and I'm going to call it a 1 out of 3 wrenches on our scale. All that you need to do is remove the factory airbox. Now you will need to disconnect the airbox from the inner fender and remove the inlet tube from the air filter and the throttle body, but we're just talking about a few bolts and clamps to get this done. The JLT installs the same way that the factory airbox came out. You just put your new couplers and clamps in place and slide the airbox in, starting with the air duct first, and that goes right in the factory location. Then once you have all of that done and everything's installed and lined up properly, you can tighten it all down and you'll be good to go. Wrapping things up here, the JLT Cold Air Intake has an open element design, but it keeps the cold air feed from the grill of the EcoBoost. It comes with a reusable filter and all of the items that you need to get it installed. And you can check it out more online right here at AmericanMuscle.com.